Okay. Alvin is joining the chat.
Cool.
Hey, can you
Video.
see me? Can you
Yeah.
hear me?
Yep.
Hey, what's
Seeing you, hear me.
good?
Cool. What up? Cool. Sorry for the long hold up. I actually got a haircut just like a
Nice.
second ago.
Yes, it is
Yeah.
definitely still Corona season, so yeah, I had to like do some makeup, look like a real person again.
This is as close as I get to being a real person. Shaving part of the whatever. You know what it is.
Yeah. So yeah, so I basically I started recording already.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, like we have a bunch of questions that they would like us to answer. Let me just see here.
I'm here
Why
for
don't
that.
we start with like a quick introduction? So introduce yourself.
All right. Well, my name's Alvin. I am a bit of a media specialist. I'd like to say journalist by nature, but musician by trade. I write for a couple Sony artists here and there, and I also tend to stay an activist full time. If I can, I go out in those protests. I'm highlighting and protesting with all the people in the streets. But I'm also a music fan. I love music. That's where it's at.
Cool, cool,
Yeah.
cool. And I heard you have a podcast.
I I mean, I try and stay humble about it, but yeah, I also do a really big. It's a
It's a
Toronto-based
cool.
podcast. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And what is it
you've actually
called?
featured once or twice. It's called Lost in the Woods podcast, and
No.
it's a whole vibe. We talk anything left, right, and center. Rochelle's been there, and I can tell you. I
Yes.
mean, without going too hard. Yeah, it's awesome.
So my name is Richelle Alleyne, and I'm a singer-songwriter from Toronto, Canada. I write here and there for myself, and I also write for other artists. I actually recently landed a little credit on the brand new BTS album on the My Time song, doing some
Ooh,
background vocals, you know.
ooh, Rochelle.
Some little sprinkle. So yeah, so today we're going to be talking about how the K-pop fans have mobilized against racism on social media. So yeah, the first question actually we have is how did we become involved in K-pop music? So, well, I just told you how I was involved.
Yeah, a little sprinkle of that BTS sauce, but
Yeah, but also I actually grew up in a very Asian neighborhood, North York, Toronto, Canada, and in my childhood, I actually was introduced to K-pop through my friends that were Chinese and Korean. They would bring me over and we'd eat their parents' food
oh yeah,
and
that sounds.
gather by the TV and watch K-pop boy bands like TVXQ. And then learn the dance moves and stuff. So
That's actually pretty cute. I won't lie. Okay, I thought I had a cute story, but my story is a little bit more nerdy. I guess the introduction for me in K-pop, it became from a it was a different media that introduced me to K-pop. So I used to watch a lot of stupid animes here and there, and they always had very intense intro songs. And I'm like, oh, but I can't really listen to these intro songs. They're not music.
yeah.
And then another one of my friends who also watched anime with a Korean kid, they're like, hey Alvin, if you're enjoying the intro, maybe just let me show you some actual music of my own, like that I
Mhm.
enjoy. And I think I was maybe 15, 16, and they put on my first attempt at, like the first time I ever heard K-pop.
Mhm.
I I wasn't exactly a fan, but I remember the
Mhm.
sound. And then a couple years later, I guess it's maybe university times, like trying to start writing a bit more, and I recognize, oh my God, this person I heard when I'm in ninth grade is officially actually making money, and I can totally. Once I appreciated their growth, I was like, oh snap, I'm a fan. I'm a
Mhm.
full-on fan of the ballad style. R&B is dead, but it's not really dead if you're enjoying K-pop. You know, it's quite
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
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 That's just how it came
Exactly.
to me.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. Everyone definitely has their their own experiences now, especially because K-pop has blown up so much. Like I feel like everyone knows, who BTS is, like Blackpink, to name a few.
Is it Metro? Sorry, let me interrupt you. My bad.
Wait, no, it's okay. Go ahead.
I think, is there another group called, is it Metro or something, if I'm correct? What is it? Metric. Oh, I'm getting it wrong. Please.
It's okay.
I'll Google it right now. One of my favorites.
Cool. Yeah, so we have a few other questions here too. Let's see. Oh, you froze. The wonders of being at home on Zoom.
God, okay, like Zoom, I'm gonna fight you for this. Let's go. More questions.
No worries. Yeah. Okay. So next question. As news and social media from across the globe demonstrate time and time again, we are a long ways away from a world in which true equality is a reality for all. Recent events that have re-sparked the Black Lives Matter discussion in mass media are a stark reminder of how far we have until we achieve the deep structural changes that are necessary to achieve this. As a youth music organization that exists to bring the youth together through music, the K-pop for Black Lives Matter movement grabbed their attention, and they wanted to describe for the members of the audience that may not be completely familiar with the movement, what it has entailed.
All right. Could I get with the Black Lives Matter movement side, and you can K-pop?
Yeah, I think so. Cool. So like I would say first off, just explain what the movement is about, I guess. Seems pretty obvious, in general, but it runs deep. Yeah.
As the name says, Black Lives Matter, but of late it's a controversial term for some people. And I guess in general, in the context of 2020, everyone's come to a consensus that the negligence and just mistreatment of Black people when it comes to race and people of color, minorities of any kind. You don't have to be a Black person to have experienced racism. But the truth is, everyone's finally had enough. And the Black Lives Matter movement is one of the main focal points that's calling attention to that. It's the rallying point, the rallying cry that we all seem to fall underneath, I think.
Right.
Yeah. Is that pretty good?
Yeah, I definitely would think so. So I guess just getting deeper in how K-pop fans have mobilized against racism. I guess have you heard or like read any articles about how that's going down?
It's actually been really great because I mean, Black Lives Matter is it's a new media movement. It's based off Instagram, people sharing stories and the hashtags. The K-pop fans have been killing the hashtag game, which I think is pretty awesome. If I'm correct, they overtook a hashtag that was being used by a bunch of, I don't even want to give the people credit, but K-pop fans really made use of a really cool hashtag. I think you can go into that more.
Yeah. So basically, K-pop fans were flooding right-wing hashtags with memes and fan cams. So just to explain, those hashtags are hashtags like White Lives Matter or MAGA, M-A-G-A, which stands for
Make America Great Again.
Yeah, I can't. So as I said, they're flooding them with memes and fan cams. So the fan cams, you don't know what fan cams are. They are basically like little videos or like GIFs that like are of K-pop singers like singing and dancing on stage.
And I guess the fans would repeat it too. No, I wanted you to explain that. I'm very aware of what a stan cam is. But just in case they don't know, like I could make one potentially, right? Couldn't I like make my own with a bunch of my friends doing the dances too?
Of you dancing, yeah, but like the fan cams, basically the videos are of the actual artists themselves or the group dancing on stage. Yeah, just to bring attention away from the the hashtag itself and like all the hate that it represents. It's just just to see that it was trending on Twitter. I clicked on it and I was like, no. And then all I saw was all of the videos of like every different like, Korean artist like singing and dancing. Like, yes.
It was awesome because the thing is, it's a really cool example of allyship.
Yeah,
Because there's so
exactly.
many bad ways to be an ally. Well, I don't want to
Right.
even
So what
say
is an
that it's not
ally?
impossible.
Tell me, tell me, tell me.
Okay, I guess the best way to define an ally is somebody who is not of a cause, but does their best to think on that cause, put their actions into that cause, but without taking space and attention away from that cause.
Right. So
So
in this case, it would be like a non-Black person that's advocating on our behalf for us.
yes,
Right. Okay.
non-Black
Okay.
person advocating on our behalf for us, but
Mhm.
also really tastefully, because there is an element of,
Mhm.
are you doing too much or too little? And
Right.
K-pop bands kind of they thread that needle really well, because there's
Mhm.
the fact that you're doing. I think they kind of stayed with their identity. We're going to stay
Mhm.
within our genre,
Mhm.
but with whatever power we have, hashtag Black Lives Matter. And that was a
Right.
really cool way of them to show allyship without being some people, they've been bad examples of allyship. Like
Mhm.
I've seen a couple YouTubers who might have put blackface on to try and say that they like Black people. They're like, we stand with you. It's
Right.
gone weird.
Yeah, I've seen another thing where someone tried to start a trend of
Mm,
shaving their heads for Black Lives Matter, and I was just like, man, that's not the way. And I don't think that it should have been equated to cancer. You know, that's what you do when
yeah,
like a loved one has
yeah.
has cancer, kind of thing. Uh, it's a common practice if you haven't heard of it, but yeah, yeah, I didn't think it was necessary for sure. I did see an article though as well I want to bring up titled K-pop Stands Overwhelm App After Dallas
Mm,
Police Ask for Videos of Protesters. I thought
okay.
that was crazy. So
See?
if you like, I actually took a look in the App Store. It's a Dallas PD app where you can go and like send in tips again and videos. And basically, all of the K-pop fans rated the app 1 star because you have to have a certain rating for it to actually be on the App Store in the first place.
Yeah.
And then they ended up uh, leaving all these comments that were lyrics to K-pop songs.
True.
Oh, you froze again. Oh no, where did you
I'm
go?
I'm frozen.
Yeah,
Am I back? Okay. Okay,
yeah, you're
cool.
good
Sorry.
now. You're good now. I was like, whoa,
I don't know. Sorry. Like I guess I moved a bit or something. I'm not even
no,
huh.
it's all good. Yeah,
Cool, cool, cool. All right.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
K-pop bands have been doing a lot of good work in the long run.
Yeah, you know, and you know, just going back to allyship, like, you know, just in general, I would say like there are a lot of accounts, especially celebrity accounts, that are posting videos of people caught on camera that are harassing Black people and just being downright racist. So, like, I like to see that kind of stuff so that no one can actually, you know, deny the existence of racism, number one, in America anymore, or pretend like it doesn't happen just because it doesn't happen to them, right?
And
And
I think you
there's
made
a
a really
lot
cool
of,
point right there.
yeah,
Sorry, I'm so sorry to cut you off, but you made a really cool point right there. It doesn't just
yeah.
happen in America, and
Hmm.
that's why the K-pop community represents a whole different media sphere from a whole different
Everywhere.
country, but it's also like very global, and like its origins are not North America, but then it has such a global reach, and for that to speak on behalf of Black Lives Matter, on behalf of Black people, it is a very cool thing because they're not alone. I mean, there's also a whole big protest in Germany that's going down with the
Hmm.
same kind of flair and the same kind of intention. So it's really cool because have you heard about the NBA speaking out or the NFL speaking out? They've all put out messages, but it's not their fans. You know what I mean? In the instance of K-pop, it is the celebrity, the artist saying something, and the fans agreeing. That is so cool.
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Oh no, I can't hear you. Oh, oh no,
Hello?
hold on.
Oh,
Get the beats. See if this works.
any luck?
Oh, now I can hear you.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah,
That's
no,
so crazy. Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, cool. Sorry about that. That was so weird. My headphones just decided to disconnect.
Bluetooth, we're all dependent one way or another.
Yeah.
But it's just really cool just to see the whole world doing it together versus just one community. When the artist said something, the fans listened and the fans listened. So it's good to know that K-pop stands with Black Lives Matter.
Right.
And I guess that's my wrap up on that little point, I guess.
Yeah. All right. So next to discuss, it's difficult as an outsider to pinpoint where it all started. Was it one musician, one fan, or many that initially started the movement online? Honestly, the first time that I heard of K-pop fans mobilizing was that Dallas app. To be honest, I think that was one of the first things that I heard of. I don't know, I could be wrong. That may not have been the first thing, but like, what you have to understand is, K-pop fans are of every single background. Their mothers, their daughters, their, like fathers, they're old, young, in the middle, like, and, people with lives that have, accounts dedicated to, BTS or, any other like K-pop group, which is really
when
amazing.
I think the origins might have been at the weirdest time. There was when Anonymous made a comeback. I don't know. You
Talk
heard
about
around
that a little, because I don't really know too much about that.
So I guess the general gist is that Anonymous, during the times of the protests, and I'm not sure it was Minneapolis specifically, it might have been a different US city that was also protesting, but they filled all the airwaves with, I guess, which song? They played Purple Rain, like YouTube, Purple Rain. They played a very strange YouTube song.
Okay.
And they just flooded all the police scanners with that. And I think that whole idea, that happened maybe like early June, I'd say June 2nd, around there. Maybe even like the weekend of May 30th. And that it was one of the few instances where like an outside force came and let's mobilize our collective power. That's kind of what Anonymous is. And then I remember maybe 2-3 days later hearing a very similar story, or even the same day, saying K-pop fans come together and reclaim a hashtag away from the alt-right. So I think it may have been the fans first, and then the artists responding to their fans and be like, yeah, thank God you guys are cool too. And then now it's just been very good synergy back and forth. I think that's maybe where it started, but that's also just another additional point. I hope I'm not,
That's that's cool. That's really interesting. Like, I did hear about Anonymous coming back, but again, like, I don't know too much about the organization. I hear, when they're in the news here and there, and how they do a lot of exposing the truth. But that's cool.
The Independent has an article on that. That's what it was.
Okay.
Really
That's cool. So they just talk about, I guess, what they've done to, like, in terms of the movement, the Black Lives Matter movement?
Exactly that, yeah.
Okay.
In fact, Anonymous actually said, Anonymous stands all K-pop allies. So it's weird how you make friends on the internet when you're fighting for the right cause.
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
very strange.
Yeah. And I did want to kind of like highlight a point, to say that I have experienced a lot of, I guess, people being indifferent to the discussion on Black Lives Matter. And I know that there are people out there that say that, if they're silent, then, they're on the other side of the fence, like they're against us. And I honestly think that that's true in some cases, but then at the same time, I also feel like there are certain people who don't say anything because they are just uneducated. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like the more you get to know the facts of the situation and, the actual awful history of slavery, even with me, like, I'm half Black, right? And growing up, I didn't learn about Black history in school. Like I had to learn it on my own through, Google and documentaries, and like, the more I learned, the more I was just like, oh my God, this is awful. And like, I'm not even from the United States, like you and me, like, we live in Canada. So
you got a whole you're so right. The idea is, like, I think one of the biggest things it becomes, because we don't want to see it, if you don't say anything, you are complicit. We want to say that because people say that because the internet today and you have all the information, but I mean, maybe not even having the right language to know how to address what you're trying to talk
Right.
about.
Like you don't know what
The
you don't
issue.
know.
And even worse, so what if you end up saying something from a good place, but then it ends up meaning something bad?
Right.
Like it's such a tough thing. So like I'm not in the business of canceling allies. I'm in the business of educating people.
Right.
And so if people come at us with good intentions, I think it's the best thing you can do. So K-pop fans, they came out with good intentions, and like I said before, they stuck to what they knew. Hashtag it. We're gonna overtake your hashtags, and we're gonna do our K. We're gonna reclaim that. And it wasn't too much. They didn't try too hard. They didn't try too little. And it was a really good piece of action without having to be overly educated. It was a really cool fucking move. Oddly, it was very, very neutral.
Yeah, exactly. They're like a collective intelligence. It's really cool. Like one person has an idea and they're all like, yes, we should do that.
Boom. There we go.
Okay, so we have the last topic of discussion. The youth of today have immense power in their hands to affect change in the world. What do you think young people around the world can take from this as inspiration to join the cause and rally to affect the changes that the world so desperately needs right now?
Would you mind if I go first? Would you like to go
Yeah,
first?
go ahead, yeah.
Well, here's something it's a really sad fact that I want to point out, but also really important. The person who recorded the George Floyd murder, more or less, was a 17-year-old girl.
Yeah.
That 17-year-old girl might have made the most important movie for the past 50, 100 years. I'm going to call it a movie. It's the most important piece of cinema
that
we've had for I don't even know how long. So young people, if we should take anything, I'm about to be 20. I'm 26 right now. I'm not old, but I'm about to be somewhere. And yeah, young people really do need to take the opportunity to when you see something wrong, call it out. Because maybe when I was younger, I didn't do that enough.
Right.
I sat with the status quo. I accepted things as they are. But when something is wrong, take your power and use it, because you do have power. And thanks to the internet, we all get to see that everyone's voice can be heard. So young people, don't be afraid. If you're angry, be angry out loud. Don't minimize yourselves the way previous generations might have, because that's the hardest thing to unlearn.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I also, I agree with you. And I guess just going back to what I was saying, like education is so important. And I get that, there are certain situations for, I guess, mostly people of color where you see a police officer and you just like immediately like feel like, oh my God, like I'm scared. Right.
Yeah.
Whether it's, just simply walking down the road and you're not even doing anything wrong. Right. Or, getting actually pulled over, like you just like, there's anxiety and like that, like I shouldn't feel that way, around police officers for sure. And there definitely has to be a change. So, if you can do anything, I think that at the bare minimum, you should educate yourself and then, pass on that information to others so that they can have a better understanding of what's going on. I again, like I have, over the course of, these past like 3-4 weeks, have had people just not completely agree with me when it comes to this situation. And, I get that I live in a different country, right? Like I live in Canada. Growing up, like I did not have that experience of, being beat up by police officers or just like all the horrible things that you hear in the United States. And it's so crazy for me to see a video like that happening, and to just hear about like all the horror stories and like, it's just one of those things where like, in order for me to do better, like I'm posting on social media, like I'm having this conversation with you right now, right? And I really hope that other people can, watch this and be like, man, like I need to learn about this, I need to spread the word. I need to, call my leaders, if they live in the United States, and be like, we need to make a change.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Actually, you're so right. And the last little bit is, you mentioned education, but knowing who to vote for locally.
Yeah.
Like, this is such a cliche. And once again, I'm not an American citizen. Like I'm here in Canada, I'm doing the thing. But the idea is that people say change starts at home. and then it kind of moves outward from there. So change exactly where you are. If you don't like the way you're, like, if you don't like how people are hired in your police department, vote on your sheriff, deputy. I don't know how that works, but like, change it at home so it's so normal where you are that everyone else, make a safe place for yourself and change the world like that.
Right.
It's okay.
Right. And yeah, like they, vote, like that's the most important thing too, right? It's I feel like racism is like a pandemic in the States, and
it's a health crisis.
It absolutely is. And if I was an American citizen, I definitely would be encouraging everyone that I know, to vote. And if you actually look at the numbers, there's a lot of, people of color, Black people that did not vote. And,
but I get it. Why?
We know what happened. We know what happened.
Yeah.
We know what happened. Yeah. We can't go back. Like we
can't.
We can only march forward. Like that's at the end of the day. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say.
Yeah, Richelle, that was really great talking to you, by the way. Really.
Yeah, it was really nice talking to you too. Like you gave a really, you gave me an opportunity to kind of like see things from your side too, which is really cool. So
I appreciate that. I mean,
thank
can
you
I add in like a little 2 cents?
Me. Pardon?
Can I add in just a little one thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just the education thing you mentioned. I know I might have glossed over that, but it's super important. Like, I guess knowing history is super, super, super painful for some people because you have to recognize, but then it is the one thing that liberates you. So yeah, educate yourself is everything, and vote. But yeah, that's it. Thanks, Richelle. Sorry for holding you up so much.
No, all good, Alvin. Thank you for joining me, and we'll talk soon.
Hey, can't wait.
Peace.
Be so cool.